everybody. I, Dr. Mahesh Arvind, the chairman of Pragna Foundation, welcoming you all for today's interactive session. So we have Dr. S.S. Iyengar from Florida University, now in India, with us to talk about AI and its need for the day. So before he starts his talk, let me introduce Dr. S.S. Iyengar. Dr. S.S. Iyengar is a globally acclaimed computer scientist, educator, and visionary whose 5 decade career has profoundly shaped the fields of artificial intelligence, digital forensics, distributed sensor networks, computational robotics, and high performance computing. A life fellow of IEEE and fellow of ACM, AAAS, NAI, AIMBE, SDPS, AAIA, FIE, and the Washington Academy of Sciences. He is also a member of both the European Academy of Sciences and the European Academy of Arts and Sciences. Recognized by the Soft Computing Research Society as the founding father of AI science in digital forensics, Dr. Iyengar was recently honored with the 2025 Distinguished Career Award in Computer Science. He has been elected to the Florida Academy of Sciences and being named a distinguished member of the Washington Academy of Sciences. Sir has served as an IEEE Distinguished Visitor, SIAM Distinguished Lecturer, and ACM National Lecturer, delivering hundreds of keynote addresses across the globe. Editorially, he has led as editor in chief of the International Journal of Distributed Sensor Networks and associate editor of ACM Computing Service. His seminal paper, A Fast Parallel Thinning Algorithm for Binary Image Skeletonization, remains foundational in the field of high performance computing. Dr. Iyengar's enduring legacy continues to inspire generations of scientists, securing his place among the most influential computer scientists and educators of the 21st century. A 4 time honorary Doctor of Science recipient, Dr. Iyengar's distinguished recognitions include the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award in 2023, Interpol DFEG Lifetime Achievement Award in 2022, IEEE Test of Time Award in 2019 for the Brooks Iyengar algorithm and Times Network NRI of the Year Award in 2017. His earlier honors include the IEEE McCluskey Technical Achievement Award, Fulbright Scientist Award, and IBM Distinguished Faculty Award. He has also held Satish Dhawan Professorship at the Indian Institute of Science, University of Paris, Louisiana State University, and IGCAR Kalpakkam. Notably, his pioneering contributions are celebrated in the recent Spring Nature publication, Fundamentals of the Brooks Iyengar Logarithm, authored by European scholar Professor Powell and others. At Florida International University, Dr. Iyengar serves as Distinguished University Professor, founding director of the Discovery Lab, director of the U.S. Army funded Center of Excellence in Digital Forensics, and former director of the Knight Foundation School of Computing and Information Sciences. Internationally, Sir holds distinguished appointments as chaired professor at the National Forensic Sciences University, research director for the Asian Digital Forensic Education Initiative, and distinguished chair at Jain University and PS University, Bangalore. Dr. Iyengar has secured over $65 million in competitive research funding from NSF, DARPA, DOE, ONR, NASA, and the US Army. As co PI of the NSF, UCRC Center for Advanced Knowledge Enablement, he has advanced interdisciplinary research across artificial intelligence, data science, defense, biomedicine, and environmental systems. His leadership in the AI learned cyber forensics for defense project and the $2.25 million US Army HBCU Finds initiative established the nation's first digital forensics center of excellence, now a global model for excellence in defense and academic collaboration. He has authored over 600 research papers and 32 books published by leading presses, including MIT Press, Prentice Hall, Springer Nature, John Wiley, and CRC Press. Dr. Iyengar's scholarship spans AI, robotics, cybersecurity, and computational medicine. He has mentored 65 PhD students and numerous postdoctoral scholars, many of whom occupy prominent roles in academia, defense, and industry worldwide. His work has been featured on the cover pages of NSF publications and leading IEEE journals. So, with this brief introduction, over to Dr. S.S. Iyengar. Sir, on behalf of Pragna Foundation, my team, and all the viewers, I welcome you all for this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And thank you for having me for this live session. I will be happy to respond to any of the questions the audience have, short and briefly. But if they want a much more detailed answer, then perhaps they can contact me over email or by texting messages to my phone number. Okay, thank you.
Sir, our first question is what single quality defines a true scholar today?
Well, thank you very much for that good question. But the response to that, there is not one single quality that attributes to a good scholar. In my opinion, a good scholar must be a good thinker, and he should be able to think of some new ideas, and then he should be able to translate those new ideas into technology, and that technology will have certainly some impact to the community at large, because any idea that we discover should always have some community impact through technology.
So the viewers want to know how can young researchers balance depth with publication pressure?
Good question. A very, very good question, and I've always thought about it. And the number of publications, a particular individual has irrelevant to me, because uh, there are people like Professor C.V. Raman, with only maybe 20 publications, he was able to get a Nobel Prize. But in the US standards, um, the requirement is on an average, a faculty member should produce quality work, at least in respectable journals. So the clear response to that question is every paper that we publish should have a new idea, and that should be published in a very respectable journal, and which is being peer reviewed by the people in that area.
Sir, what is the most urgent reform needed in India's higher education system?
Okay, very good. Another excellent question, and I thought about it many times. So the India has many talents, which I don't think even I see in America, because the number of talented students and faculty, they are quite a few. But it is very unfortunate. The bureaucratic structure is no good, because the the curriculum should be revamped completely, and work with industries, because in United States, what is very critical we do every year is we have an industrial advisory committee, coming from some of the top industries, the scientists, and from that company, they are a part of that committee. So they always try to change what needs to be taught in every course. For example, Python is the most important language for AI, and everybody should be taught that course. But I think they are in India, they are doing it. But with respect to some other courses, I find it horrible because what they are teaching has no relevance to the present technology, and therefore the curriculum should be a part of the industry that should be designed in such a way that it changes every year. But because of all of the bureaucratic process and the administration, that is fairly difficult in India, it looks like.
Sir, how can education meaningfully integrate ethics and values?
Very good. So that is why we must teach our students at a very early age three important things. They have to preserve good discipline. They have to preserve good ethics, because ethics is very important and a fundamental component of education that should be taught from primarily in the schools. Then at the same time family values also, because the parents always would kind of be a real guidance they give, but the implementation and the enhancement should be done at the college level, high school level, and then you have to implant those value system right from the beginning, and then only it is becoming really good for students or anybody to follow and become very famous.
Sir, what role should Indian knowledge traditions play in modern scholarship?
There is there's another good question. So, uh, in India, I think, as what I've seen, I'm not an expert on some of the Vedic studies and all, but they certainly have a lot of impact in terms of enhancing the idea of education. But what has happened is that we have been asked to memorize facts, and those are the traditional way, which would not emphasize some of these memorization into real thinking, because I myself take example. In the early days, I quote chantas of mantras. Then one Professor R.L. Kashyap one day told me, can you explain everything what's chanting you are doing? And well, I could explain some of it but not all of it. But very importantly, our system is such a way, the the parents at home, they kind of embed many of these Vedic and other types of knowledge without really attributing to the fact what exactly they mean and how it has an impact towards their education in the long time.
Sir, relevant to your answer itself. Uh, how can classical texts be reinterpreted without losing the authenticities?
I don't know whether I believe in the word classical text, because the way in which the technology is moving, there is no classical text at all. Because the things which I learned 50 years back have no meaning into it. There were a lot of classical texts written on thermodynamics. I was a mechanical engineer long back, and there are a lot of those kind of classical things that we had learned had no kind of direct bearing right now. But there is a lesson that we can learn how we can take those some of those classical text and the ideas, and how it can be transitioned to new technology, new ideas, so that people can use in the community. See, what is very important right now, how, for example, you are able to define what we call as an interdisciplinary program. There is nothing like computer science program, nothing like mechanical engineering. So there are programs that have been kind of mixed and define an interdisciplinary program which consists of many disciplines to solve and inspire the new generation and transforming lives through technology.
Sir, what advice would you give who's the students who are torn between career and purpose?
Well, I think, the advice I normally give is to sort of see how they can focus on one particular area of either engineering, science, technology, arts, and it can be even, the natural other things. It does not have to be just engineering and science. The arts also nowadays people can do well, but the whole idea is how exactly you can focus right from the beginning and then build a ladder to the destination of where you want to reach and acquire step by step and make sure that you are in this particular track without losing the focus.
Sir, how can youth cultivate focus and discipline in the digital age?
I think that's a very difficult problem because the technology is rising so rapidly, especially the artificial intelligence area. It has revolutionized our lives. So, discipline is very important because we can't just chase technology. That's what it is happening in the present day youth. They really do not know the basics, foundation. Just because everybody is using AI, they think it is magic that I can use it and make money and do things. No. So the fundamental thing is to understand the basic foundational science and then understand how that can be enhanced through their strength. Everybody cannot be good in mathematics, everybody cannot be good in, so they had to really find what they are good at it and focus on developing a career path in that, putting all of their efforts and discipline.
So, we like to know from you what kind of research genuinely serves society?
So so there are two different types of research we can think. One is a theoretical research. The theoretical research essentially is I have an idea to design, a component of artificial intelligence. I am good at it. I can provide a lot of mathematics into it, and I can provide some algorithmic solution for it. But that is not going to help. That only covers the basic fundamentals of whatever it is. Then there are other people who are very good in taking those fundamental ideas and translating that into product, a device or a technology where it can help people in large scale. Like for example, the iPhone that we talk about it today is so useful, right? Now this has a lot of technology because in 1992, Steve Jobs, the president of Apple, who passed away, he was asked by some big intellectuals in a small iPhone how I am able to put computing and then communication and then music, how I can upload it, how I can. So that has transformed the entire world. So if you look at present day situation, there are 70 to 80 billion people have iPhones everywhere you go. And that's very good because even an auto rickshaw driver who may not know all the intricacies of what it has. So that is why that is the translation of basic fundamental idea into the real technology where an average common person on the road should be able to use your technology. That's one example of this 21st century. And there may I can give hundreds of more examples on that. And GPS. See, everybody wants location, right? And even person coming from somewhere, sir, you give me his location to reach your house. That's fine. But you see how much of technology we are depending on. In olden days, I used to write in America to travel from actually from Florida to San Francisco by car. I used to write what interstate I had to take, but now all that with one single routing map, I am able to travel. And that has not only helped the drivers, but also it has helped even the pilots who go from one country to the other using that global positioning system, GPS.
So, you mentioned about interdisciplinary research. How should interdisciplinary research be pursued responsibly?
So I think that trend should come. In fact, as early as 1992, I started an interdisciplinary program at Louisiana State University. And people were all wondering, you're a computer scientist, how are you going to work with physics? How are you going to work with chemistry? But you see, one good example is if I want to design a drug for some disease, we need three different types of people. One, you need a good computer scientist because he can do a lot of computer modeling of all the ideas. Then you need somebody, a chemist, who can work on the molecules. He can say that molecule, this molecule, we can actually merge this, and how can you develop a three-dimensional, protein folding model using a high-performance computer. Then the third person is the physics person. The physics and the mathematics people, they will provide you some good, the foundational science that is needed for a particular drug. So discovering a drug and developing a drug like insulin is not just one person's effect. It is a collective effort from different disciplines. And so those things are very useful in many of the pharmaceutical companies all over the world, that interdisciplinary program. So that program is being kind of pushed all over the world. So we don't have a traditional ivory scholar program like, oh, I'm a computer scientist, I'm a mathematician. No. I think we all have to collectively come together, define a problem, so each area will contribute to the level what it is needed to solve a problem which will have an impact to the nation in the form of technology.
Sir, for all researchers, there will be several factors which influence them in their intellectual journey. So, which influence most shaped your intellectual journey?
I think I've been very fortunate because right from the beginning I was a very disciplined man because I don't know how I got it. I always think about it. I'm 78. I could even actually was very disciplined when I was going to national college and always used to go to a seminar, and that seminar, people say, why are you going for that seminar, what does it give you? But I used to go to the seminar to understand what a speaker is talking. That's how I heard of C.V. Raman talking. That's how I heard of C.N.R. Rao speaking. So all of these, many of the top scientists when I was young, I was very fortunate to listen to some of those speakers and what ideas they have, how they transplant. So the ideas what they had generated made me one day think that can I do that? And slowly, during my engineering time, I had some very good professors who can actually challenge me and the students to do certain things. And therefore, it started not just at the middle of my career. It started, pretty much in the high school, but that was at a very elementary level. Then I slowly built it. So when I went to America, America is a very beautiful country. In 1970, they gave me some scholarship, and how do you expect for them to give me $300 and they say you come up with an idea within 3 or 4 months and show how it can work. So I had many ideas, and then I talked to my major professor. He said that's a very good idea, that can be your PhD thesis. So for them, you have to build the foundational science for a new problem, and then you have to show them how that can be used for real-time applications. And that real-time application will have an impact in the community. And that's how the Brooks Iyengar algorithm became so famous. It's an information fusion algorithm where we have lots of data, and how do you merge this data to come up with a meaningful confidence. So that idea was published in 1996 with a student of mine, although I never expected that it's going to become such famous. So, but it became very famous. So every phone you see that they are using that algorithm, but it is all in the public domain. We did not take any money because we didn't want even patent. We want the public to use. So that idea was there. That idea is everything that I discover should be used and should have impact to the community.
Sir, what guiding principle has sustained you throughout your career?
I think my biggest strength is I'm a very bright fellow because, and also, discipline. I'm very, very disciplined in terms of time. Then I also have a good intuition of talking to students and giving them right problems. And I also know whether a student is capable of doing that or not. So there are these kind of things I'm not very sure how I got it. I think I've been very fortunate to do that, from 1980. And of course, my wife, uh, she's a very, very beautiful lady, and I married her when she was 18 years. Then she came to America, and she was she only had high school education, but she prompted me to do so many good things in research. So every seminar I go and give a talk, she used to sit right in front of the, whether it is in America, MIT, Stanford. She used to ask questions also. Then she used to come back and say, look, that point you could have made it much clearer. You did not do it. Maybe in the next talk you do it. So remember, she only had high school education. And so, what a wonderful journey we had. And unfortunately, she passed away. In fact, this house, what you see, was built by her completely. I mean, of course, I paid the money, but she was sitting in that corner. She is not an engineer, but she had that type of knowledge and discipline, very good discipline, very knowledge, and very not discipline in the sense we built this house, big house, crores in 8 months. So a lot of people said, so ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಷ್ಟ because the time, she went and did things. So what I'm trying to say is, in my opinion, nothing is impossible. So, if somebody says, sir, I can do it, no, he's very lazy. I think, in my opinion, everybody is bright. It's only a question of using his talents at the right level with the right people, and then work towards that goal. Again, the discipline comes.
Sir, when we compare our education system to the Western US or UK style, it's a remarkable difference is there. So, how can artificial intelligence help our system, Indian system, with respect to Vikasit Bharat?
See, artificial intelligence has revolutionized our lives. Of course, as I said, I think in my talk yesterday also, I had done artificial intelligence work to some extent in 1982 on one project funded by Naval Research, because they had given a lot of data, and then they wanted me to process it and find out and see how you can use some reasoning to identify those objects underwater. But you see, those days were not very prominent because a lot of prominent scientists did not believe in artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence basically is not magic. It is an integration of mathematics, optimization, computer science, and some amount of physics too. As I said, a perfect example of an interdisciplinary program or a science. So, what we are trying to do with artificial intelligence is we are trying to create, and mimic the human behavior, human minds. See, we do a lot of things. Our human brain is so powerful because our neural network model connected by all neurons are so powerful. It connects and it can distinguish based on the value system that have been taught. So that means every child, when they grow up, they've been taught by parents to some extent, then the school. So he is continuously learning. So learning is a fundamental component, and that facilitated by human brain. So now something very similar, we wanted to have a machine to do learning. How does it happen? So we had to create programs. The program something very similar to neural network model that we think, and that facilitates. So, for example, autonomous vehicles. So, autonomous vehicle, we come and drive the car because God, we know how to drive. We have been taught by how to drive. We have been taught to follow rules. So, if I can write a complete program to simulate that and implement it on a car, then I don't need a driver. That is the concept. So, and that is what is called as artificial intelligence. How you can translate the science of doing everything using neural network model to the machines. And that machine can be as intelligent or it can be more intelligent than human beings. Because as I said, driverless cars are very common, even in United States. Because the car now they have in many places in California, they are driverless cars from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I have gone in one of those driverless cars. Very interesting because I booked a car through Uber thinking that there is a driver sitting in the car, he's coming. There was no driver. So I sat in that car all the way into Los Angeles with no flaws. Even humans can mistakes because if he gets tired, but the machines they are so reliable they won't do mistakes. They may not be able to create some of their own knowledge, but whatever that you have programmed or what we call as the intelligence through technology by chip that can work very efficiently, much better than human beings. So the artificial intelligence has created a revolution in creating this driverless car. That is one fundamental example of artificial intelligence. There are several examples also. The other example I can give is Alexa. Alexa is a very beautiful assistant to human being. Somebody like me, I need Alexa because I'm alone now. My children are not there, so I need an assistant. So if I tell Alexa, "Can you book a ticket for me to go from here and there?" it will do. So Alexa is basically what I call as a companion assistant, AI-enabled assistant machine, which can absolutely do everything not a real companion can do. So that Alexa is one good other example of how AI has been used to translate what we normally do in our human brain onto the real machine. So as I said, there are some examples. People have fallen in love with Alexa and thinking that I can marry, but it is after some conversation, a girl said, "I want to marry you, Alexa," but Alexa said, "No, I'm only a machine. I'm not a human being." So that's what. So that is another classic example of what the contribution of AI. Then there are other contributions, in piloting a plane from one place to the other. Nowadays is almost 80 to 90% is autopilot. The pilot will not do anything except looking and maybe changing some path, another thing. But while it is flying, he'll be just looking at it just to see how we can navigate if there is any emergency. Even nowadays, the emergencies are also being taken care of by the AI. And that's why when it comes in, question, if AI can take over all of those things, then we are in big trouble because then it is very difficult to control AI controlled machines because you won't listen. The machine won't listen to you because it has its own rules and regulations embedded and it will follow. So then, in principle, we have lost control of the AI system. So that is the path forward we are going. So we have to be very careful because AI is going to take over very soon in the next 3 or 4 years. The way in which all of the major companies are spending an enormous amount of money to make more intelligent, more. There is no upper level because nowadays there is a concept like you want to make everything intelligent. Suppose I am sitting here, I want a cup of coffee. I tell Alexa. Alexa will tell the appropriate hotel, bring a cup of coffee. So everything is very automatic using AI machines. If I want to clean, there is a cleaner Roomba, that's automatic clean by AI. It knows how to navigate. It knows so everything is pretty much. So these are all inspiring examples for the next generation that we are moving into it, and it is a very important technology innovation also. So now the other question you might ask, how does it take over? So now some of these hackers can design what are called as the deep fakes, so fake images, and so these fake images are so authentic you're not able to even see that it is a fake image. So that is a fundamental problem because the the accuracy and the security that has been embedded by all of these programmers are so good you can't even differentiate between a fake image and a real image. When that happens, is going to be very dangerous because we don't know who the person is singing. He may be a fake person singing, just moving the lips, but the bottom line is he is not. So, the situation is going out of control. So AI is in that stage, and so the other question people always ask, does AI reduce jobs?
Yes, yes, sir. That's
Um,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, they're scared at it about applying usage in our routine. So it may remove our jobs and all. And one more thing, sir, uh, this usage of AI, so we can make use of it as our assistant. Agree, work will be done at a faster rate. But the thing is, we may become slave to it, and we may lose our applying our natural intelligence gradually. Uh, does it leads to that or?
I think so. Yeah, it will certainly reach. Well, it is already reaching now because now no commercial 100% AI systems have been developed. When that happens, that means we are pretty much slave to AI systems. AI means artificial intelligence system. So, um, but there are some challenges also. See, when you are using Chat GPT and Alexa, we ask a lot of questions, right? So the question is, you must ask the right questions. If you don't ask the right questions, your Chat GPT will not give you good answers. So, because the Chat GPT will not understand what it is missing, it only looks into your question and try to frame. But it also does not matter what response it is giving because it's only focusing on your questions. And suppose you are asking a question with some hidden assumptions, it will not be able to see. So that is why many of the times the chat GPT gives wrong answers, and because we are not asking the right questions. For example, um, AI can answer the following question: is this traffic anomalous? So the human will normally ask a question: what kind of anomaly would actually matter to machine success? Okay, and what can be safely that we can ignore? So, but AI, on the other hand, it is trying to optimize all your questions too to provide an answer. So, therefore, the question formulation remains a human intellectual monopoly. Because if you don't ask that kind of question, then you are not able to get response. So that's why there are so now there are systems we are building so that it can even understand, it can reconfigure. Okay, no, maybe you're not asking this question. Maybe you mean that. That's what we do with our human brain, right? So when we ask somebody a question, he will not understand it, but he will say, "Did you mean this? Did you mean?" We asked that in our conversation, but when you ask questions to the chat GPT, it won't understand all of those questions. So you have to. So if that becomes a part of it, then I think essentially, we'd be in some sort of trouble. So what is very important in many of these kind of things, the commercial AI systems that we would see perhaps 4 or 5 years from now, it can it can understand what you have in your mind. How? It relates. It's like suppose I have a particular person is loving a girl or a boy, and he has some intention in his mind, then he understand. But the AI systems not now it can restructure it, but there are programs people are writing. It can understand. It can drive that person to ask the right question. See, the whole question is when you are conversing with Chat GPT, Gemini, or any of them, you must be able to ask very precisely, and then it can answer 100%. So that's basically the open problem now. People are working on it, and I would say that it can. There is a solution. It may take a little more time because it is just like understanding what you have in mind. So when once AI can understand what you are thinking, then I think the problem is fairly difficult, because the fundamental problem that we all think is, I do not know what you are thinking and you don't know what I'm thinking. But if AI can figure out how, by looking at the context, and that context will help the AI to understand and at least approximate and reason a solution to what he's thinking. And that's what people are working on that.
Sir, finally, for the since our foundation happens to be an NGO for student empowerment as well as for teaching the faculty enrichment services, sir, from your side, what do you like to suggest how they can take up AI, artificial intelligence, for getting empowered themselves?
I think, in my opinion, everybody at different stages in their lives, they have to learn AI to some extent. If they are students, I would strongly suggest they master a language called Python. Python is a very beautiful language, and it can be learned easily because it's almost like an English language, not much of anything, so that can be done. So, the most important and striking thing right now is everybody should learn and how to write programs in Python programming language. The second aspect of it is, I am worried about the following. If people are not thinking and just using chat GPT, that means the creative thinking is not happening, because they are going it in an easy way, either as a student. So please do not use chat GPT for writing. Write your own, and maybe you can ask some correction on that. Or if you are doing some homework problems, do the homework problems, and writing an essay, do write it yourself. But so those are the things that I would like, and then they can use it later on, how to empower their ability to write better using some of these
So there are
languages.
two questions from the viewers.
Okay.
So how can platforms like Pragna help students move beyond exam-oriented learning?
So the interesting thing what I see right now, um, all the students, they memorize all the facts for the exam. So that I think has to stop, because you have to understand rather than memorizing. So of course there are facts, formulas, dates, definition. So the question is, modern AI systems, especially some of the large language models, they can excel in this task. Okay, they can store a lot of information, retrieve vast amount of structured and unstructured. So basically what I would say is, we should be able to think and find a solution to a problem and be very creative. And that creation comes only by connecting our neural network model properly in such a way that we are able to solve a problem with what we have learned, and providing a solution which has implication to new ideas. So that is what I'm advocating to most of the colleges and universities in India. They have to think differently. It is not the old way of thinking what we used to do, what I used to do 50 years back when I was a student. No, things have changed. So, with the present context, you have to analyze and think very rationally that an area that he or she is interested, is she really interested? Does that make happy her or him to go in that? It can be art, science, technology, sports. It doesn't matter, because if you look at all of the successful sports people, like say successful musician, they all have a very hidden ambition, and that drives them to excel. And but now, with all of this AI technology, I think even an average man should be able to use and excel in what they are doing. They should not feel and think, oh my God, I cannot do that. No, because AIs can certainly help and will facilitate everybody in the world to move forward and achieve their goal as to the extent as possible with very good discipline and good reasoning and good understanding and good execution of those things.
So the last one, sir, what guidance would you offer to Pragna Foundation in nurturing authentic intellectual inquiry?
Very good question. I think the very fact Pragya Foundation is coming here and talking to me is an example there in the right direction. I think very importantly, they have to interview people. You know, sometimes people can be very controversial. That's fine because there's a beauty in this controversial itself. So, what I'm trying to say is having more people to come and talk, and so that the listeners can really see where they stand. And many of the important topics, like what we are talking today, like AI and machine learning, what can we learn, what are the challenges we have, and what are the things that we still are not understood about AI. So, like that, I think if you can get more people, not only in AI, it can be in other music. What are the different ways that music can be learned, how they can excel it, pop music, that music. We have a music called jazz, and very famous. I mean, everybody sort of learns how to play the jazz. So there is an opportunity through Pragya Foundation where it can path forward, streamline many of these kind of talks to all the audience, and also provide a platform to get relevant questions and relevant answers. If they are not possible, they can, that's fine, but still they are able to feel they are involved in this conversation, that what we are all trying to do today.
Uh, Sir, on behalf of Pragna Foundation, we express our heartfelt gratitude, sir, for this illuminating interaction. Thank you so much for giving your time for Pragya Foundation and all the viewers. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, with this, we'll conclude the session. Thank you so much for joining us for this uh, meaningful session.
Yeah.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.